Thank you. I noted in your written testimony, Mr. Canada, you talked about, and you finished with this sort of, the need to cultivate a culture of success rooted in passion, accountability, leadership, and teamwork. And I was inspired by that, and I would urge all of us who have this enormous responsibility to reauthorize this act, all of us on this committee, to work in a culture rooted in passion, accountability, leadership, and teamwork. I share Senator Bennett's and your passion and outrage at what we have now. This is kind of a question for everybody, and I'm sorry to do that because maybe that's not the best way this works. But I want to talk about return on investment. I want to ask a question about return on investment. And what I see is things like, we'll take Ms. Struck, school counselors. Minnesota, we have a ratio of 800 kids for each school counselor. Okay, that's an actual like funding issue, right?
That's right. Thank you.
We have. I want to extend school lunch, free school lunch, to kids from 130 to 185% of poverty. A lot of them, it costs 40 cents for lunch for the reduced lunch. A lot of parents run out of money, and kids don't have lunch, or they have a cheese sandwich, or they're embarrassed to have a cheese sandwich, so they don't have lunch. Kids can't learn if they don't have good, healthy food. We should be giving these kids breakfast, and good, healthy breakfast, and good, healthy lunches. And sometimes they said, well, we need these soda machines in there so that we can pay for an after-school program. All of you, so many of you, talked about this is not being about school, it's about being from birth to the end, to when you graduate, meaning early childhood. Well, we know what the return on investment is on early childhood. We reap, it's either do that or send them to prison at the end of the day for $50,000 a year. After-school programs. I see schools in Minnesota cutting after-school programs, cutting the arts, cutting athletics, because they don't have the funding. So many of you talk about extending the hours of learning and the number of days. We don't, and these schools can't pay for it because of special ed. They have to pay for special ed. I guess what my question is, if we really care about our finances, our fiscal shape in this country, what is the best investment for our children and our grandchildren? Anybody want to deal with that? Mr. Canada.
Thank you, Senator. Look, I'm a real believer that the nation's children are going to really be in trouble because of the state's budget issues that every state that I know of is facing right now. And they're cutting not the fat anymore. I think they're cutting into the muscle when it comes to education. And I just think that we've missed an opportunity to really rethink the contract that America has to have with its schools and its educators. I think you're right about return on investment. There are a lot of programs that quite honestly aren't very good, right? And a lot of them keep getting funded and they're just not doing the job. And we should get rid of those programs. They really should be defunded, and that's very tough to do. And I think that the taxpayer I think is willing to invest in their children if they believe there is a return. If it's just not going to be another dollar that doesn't produce an impact.
Well, that would be very helpful to us to know what to cut, so that we can do the things that work.
And I just think that that is one of a lot of us here are looking at this issue of outcomes, and can you really demonstrate that the investment is paying off in a way that's real, and I think that's important. But I think you raised a larger question that I'd just like to take 10 seconds. Are we investing enough in our children in this nation? And I think the answer is no. I think that there are huge areas in this country that all the children need to be in a full-day early education program if they're going to be able to be competitive, and we just don't have the support, and we don't have the funding for it. After schools, when parents are working and kids have no one at home, after-school programs aren't a luxury. They're a necessity for those young people. There's not a funding source for that kind of a situation. I think that we've got to hold those of us in this business accountable for results, but we also have to be willing to pay for what we would consider realistic investments. One counselor to 800 kids is a joke. That's not going to produce the kind of support young people need, right? And so we're probably not even going to be able to hold on to that with the state budgets being in the condition they're in. So I just think that as a nation, we've got to really do a real investment in education to support things broadly across this country, but we've got to hold people accountable.
Would anybody care to just say one program that doesn't work, or would you like to submit that in writing to us?
I'll tell you the famous one that people quote all the time, and people that, and I don't know that it's publicly funded, but I've just heard that the DARE program is a program that is pretty clear. It doesn't produce the kind of results yet it's funded all over the country. So, I'm sure the police forces will all be coming after me for making that statement. But there's someone, but I think you're raising the right question. There are other ones, and we have not been transparent, those of us in the business, right, about putting those programs on the table, and we need to do that.